Pastor R.M. Mkasi of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was born in 1925 at Mamaila, Soekmekara. He started school when he was 17 years old at a village called Rafahlelo, which was 15 kilometers away. He worked to and from school daily. He then went to Limana College. When he was in Form 2 at grade 9, he picked up a VOP flyer which was blown in front of him by the whirlwind. That was the beginning of his calling. After picking up VOP flyer, he studied VOP lessons and started keeping the Sabbath, which sparked conflict at school and was expelled. He informed VOP, which invited him to Cape Town in preparation to go to Bethel College for ministerial training. VOP arranged that he work for a building construction. The following year at Bethel, he completed JC or grade 10. He then trained for ministerial and completed in 1951. He started working in North Bantu Mission, now TOC, under Grillman as his district director. In 1952, the president was Pastor Holcomb, who solemnized his marriage with M.W. Malachi in 1953 at Shiloh Mission in Mashashane, near Polokwane. After completing in 1953, he was transferred to Lois Trichet, Chitandani, now Wembe district. There were no Adventists then. On arrival, he slept at a railway station in the waiting room. He was offered a room by a grieving family where he comforted and conducted a funeral. All his 4 children were born in Lois Trichet. In Wembe, he started tracing and visiting VOP students. As an excellent dedicated pioneer, he was supported and sometimes visited by the district director, Pastor Grillman. His first VOP converts are Chief J. Rambuda, Moses Mudziwa, and their families. Some of the VOP early converts were Brethren Dagoda, Miss Elena May's father, Brethren Alfred Mbedzi, Dr. Paul Mbedzi's father, Pastor G.F. Mbedzi, Brethren Ramugumo and his younger brother, Pastor J. Ramugumo, and others. Pastors under his leadership: Pastor G.F. Mbedzi, Pastor J. Ramugumo, Pastor E. Masungwini, Pastor E. N. Chivase, Pastor S.W. Mautla, Pastor P. Rapiti, Pastor T. Mongwe. First churches that he established: Rambuda, Dzwerani, Chisaulu, Mamaila, Tengwe, Manamani, Musina, Godville, Ramugondo, Zindi, Chitandani, Obobab. In Wembe, he stayed and worked from 1953 to 1964 for 12 years. In 1965, he went to Solusi for a leadership training course for 1 year. From 1966 to 1968, he was West Rand District Director for 3 years. From 1969 to 1973, he was District Director of Northeast and Northwest combined for 5 years. He became the first TOC Stewardship Director from 1974 to 1976 for 3 years. From 1977 to 1985, he was District Director in Northeast for 9 years. After serving with dedication and distinction in the Lord's vineyard for 34 years, the brave soldier of the cross rested peacefully with his boots on in 1985, in June when the G session was on. Vafunzi GFL Mbedzi va kereke ya Seventh Day Adventist vo bebwa nga 1925 Thafamuhwe ngei Pambani Lwamondo, vo va va tshi dzhena kereke ya Tshiyoni. 1952 vo rembulutshela kha kereke ya Seventh Day Adventist va lovhedzwa Cape Town. Vha hiriwa VOP nga ṅwaha wa 1955 nga ḓuvha ḽa vhuṋa ḽa ṅwedzi wa Lambamai u isa pfunzo idzo kha Tshivenḓa. 1958 vha ṅwala bugu Bible Made Plain na ngudo ya tshikolo tsha Sabata nga Tshivenḓa. 1960 u swika 1961 vha rengisa dzibugu. 1969 vho ṅwala Phindulo dza Mudzimu, Mbudziso dza Muthu, vho shuma Gazankulu, Hamjaji, Bulukwane, Mamaila, Mamelodi, Sojangwe, Mokopane, Hammanskraal, Witbank, Harankuwa, Venda. Vho huliswa nga 1972. Vho guma u shuma dzikereke nga 1984. Vha yo u rengisa dzibugu u swika 2005, ḓuvha ḽa vhuvhili ḽa ṅwedzi wa Fulwana vha tshi eḓela. Vha eḓedzwa nga 2005 nga ḓuvha ḽa vhufumi ḽa ṅwedzi wa Fulwana.
A modern-day Melchizedek. And Melchizedek king of Salem brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. Genesis 14:18. A biography of the late pastor Enthathini Edward Mugavela. Chivase Pastor N.E. Chivase was born on the 6th of March 1948 at Vondo Lathava village to Nditshini Ramugondo Chivasa and Mugivela Elias Chivasi. Soon after his birth, he relocated to Chidziva with his grandmother, Kosi Kadzivo Lavengwa T. Chivase. Later, his mother moved to Ha Makuva village with her children, desiring to be closer to her brother, Chief Ramugondo, who played a pivotal role in his upbringing. In 1963, missionaries of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, AME, visited the village to organize a church, and Pastor Chivase accepted the AME faith. He became a prominent and respected leader in the church. He maintained his relationship with AME even after leaving the faith, and would often accept invitations to minister to them. On the Sunday of his burial, the Hamakuva AME Church held a memorial service in his honor. In 1965, his uncle's youngest wife met her untimely death, and members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church at Rambuda came to offer services to the bereaved family. After the burial, Chief Ramugondo, together with his family and Pastor Chivase, accepted the Adventist faith. Pastor Chivase later served as an elder of Ramugondo Church for several years. He began his career as a teacher, and later went to further his studies at Vendaland Teachers College, VTC. He was active in the student Christian movement and served as its leader. He was known for his unwavering and uncompromising faith, refusing to attend classes on the seventh-day Sabbath. Through his influence, his friends, Elder Chivengwa, Elder Makwarela, and many others joined the church. After completing his teaching course, he worked as a teacher and principal at Vutalu, Muhuyu, Hamutele, and Masisi. He worked as a teacher and principal for 16 years. It was during this time that he also became an established businessman. The 1970s witnessed great Adventist music from Vesda, a quartet whose music was popular beyond Adventist circles, and also aired on Radio Venda and Radio Tohoyando. The quartet comprised of Elder Nemasatoni, Elder Nemaunguhui, Pastor Mahamba, and Pastor Chivase. Pastor Chivase met and fell in love with Selo Maria Matheba at Madumbidja at a camp meeting where Maria was part of the Sabbath school program. Maria was a qualified nurse serving at Kapane Hospital, but later left nursing and studied teaching at Mokopane, formerly Potgietersrus. The couple were married in 1976 and were blessed with 5 children: Nindit Shani, Takalani, Chisikawe, Thakani, and Rialavua. In 1980, Pastor Chivase had several encounters from which it was clear that the Lord was calling him to full-time ministry. In one instance, he fell and was unconscious for several minutes. In other instances, he would temporarily lose sight every time he entered a classroom to teach. Pastor Makasi, who later became his mentor, confirmed that indeed it was the Lord who was calling him. In March 1981, Pastor Chivase left his teaching profession and businesses to respond to the call and served as a voice of prophecy instructor. This decision was not without sacrifice. He relinquished his professional status, and his family was greatly affected. This was the cost of discipleship to him. Pastor Chivase served with such excellence that he was employed as a full-time pastor in 1982. In 1984, the church affirmed his calling by recommending him for ordination. He was eventually ordained in 1987 with 3 contemporaries, Pastor D.P. Shongwe, Pasto S. Mahamba, and Pastor T. Mongwe. The first district he served from 1982 was his home district, Vembe District. In 1988, he was deployed to serve at the West Rand District and was stationed at Sinawane. He served there for 7 years and was then deployed to Mopani District, formerly known as Gazankulu, in 1994. In partnership with Mrs. Trodu, the then VOP director, and Elder Ebreson, many souls were won through VOP, leading to the organization of Mudabula, Minga, and Nyabane churches. In 1996, he was transferred back to Vembe District, where he served until his retirement. When he returned, there were only 8 churches with a membership 672. Through his dedication and hard work, the district grew over the years to a total of 29 churches with a membership of over 4,000. On the 24th of September 2010, Pastor Chivase was inaugurated as chief of Vondo Latava, where he again served the community with dignity and excellence. This new responsibility created a unique wing of ministry, making Pastor Chivase the only Seventh-day Adventist church pastor in South Africa who was a modern-day Melchizedek, serving as both a spiritual leader and a civil leader. Pastor Chivase's ministry was characterized by his love for people, selfless service, community building, mentoring. He had an uncanny memory, remembering all his members by name and knowing all their home locations in an age without GPS. He was always reachable by all, regardless of gender, age, and social status. He served as chairperson of the Venda branch of the Bible Society. In this capacity, he was involved in recording the Venda Audio Bible, which became a powerful tool to reach many Venda-speaking people in South Africa. He also served as chairperson of the Vembe District Moral Regeneration, a municipal initiative aimed at restoring law and order in the community and advocating for the marginalized. Throughout his ministry, he mentored many pastors and recommended others to join the gospel ministry, often aiding them financially. He assisted in the building of many churches throughout his ministry. After his retirement, as he considered the benefits of the Lord towards himself and his family, he responded to the question, "What shall I render unto the Lord?" by building Dambal and Masisi churches. Pastor Chivase met his final rest on the 6th of June 2018. His legacy lives on, Armadava.
Bringing most of people from independent churches into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And he was a linguist par excellence. 1979, during the independence of Venda, we had dignitaries from Botswana. Lucas Mangope was there, KD Matanzima from Transkei then, CN Patudi from right here in Libua, Professor Hudson Samwisi from Gazankulu. And he was asked to pray for the occasion. And he moved from English to Shanga, to Zulu, to Tsonga, to Xhosa, to the amazement of people. And people thought it was maybe a recording. They kept on opening up their eyes. And that is how much he placed the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the map, just by a prayer. So this is a posthumous recognition for his pioneering work and his also incisive evangelism, particularly penetrating the independent churches in this part of the country. And our prayer is that badulu bote na vana bote usongo vana mutihi ane awanala asio ngomu kha mirafho ya ma-Adventist uswika Jesu achibuya.
Service work record of Lozi Prince Sam Mwea in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Highlights of preaching and working engagements. 1983, January to December 1985. Starting work in Venda, having obtained diploma in theology at Bethel College through the facilitations of Pastor Badla DT and Mawela PM. 1986, January to December 1987. Working in Mafikeng District as District Director. Preaching in Welcome for a week of prayer immediately after starting work in 1983. TOC's representative at the first pastors' meeting between blacks and whites in 1984. Preaching at the Youth Convention in Eswatini in 1991. Crusade and planting the church in Pimville, Zone 3 in 1993. Crusade preaching and planting a church at Diepkloof, Zone 2 in Soweto in 1993. Guest speaker for a week's Daza KZN conference in 1993. Preaching at the Western Cape Yearly Daza conference in 1994. Cape meeting guest speaker thrice in Eswatini in 1985, in 1990, and 1995. Preaching at a 2-week crusade in Tembisa West in 1999. Founder and being trainer of Vesta Quartet between 1978 and 1985, which recorded the first Adventist music album while being in Venda. Crusade preaching and planting the church in Jimmy Staines Ducatolis Crusade in 2000. Weekend preaching in Lesotho for evangelism in 2000. Crusade preaching and planting the church in Johannesburg Signal Hill in 2001. Crusade and planting Good Hope Church in Klerksdorp at Blessed Hope. Crusade and planting the church in Chilamba Vision Secondary, baptizing 52 souls. Crusade in Thokoza and baptizing 45 souls in 2002. Holding a 3-week crusade in Gweru, Zimbabwe, baptizing 60 souls in 2006. Cape meeting guest speaker in East London in 2007. Cape meeting in Eastern Cape. Crusade in Matswale, Musina, and baptizing 44 souls in 2010. Preaching at Pretoria, Montana Church, 10 days of prayer in 2018. Preaching at Mamelodi, Zone 6, 2-week crusade in 2019. Conducting Bible study and planting the church in Chandama in 2020. Preaching at a pre-crusade week of Chino. Preaching 2 weeks at Cosmo Church Revival Week in 2022. Marriage officer, having married 42 couples this far. Baptizing candidates in churches and camp meetings. Guest speaker and organizing family ministries seminars. Holding youth camps and conducting premarital counseling sessions. Preaching and comforting many bereaved families all over the South. Giving motivational talks in public secondary schools, colleges, and university institutions. Radio Parapara preaching ministry. International and other important expeditions. 1986, ordination into gospel ministry of the SDA Church awarded credentials. 1986 to 1987, member of the SDA's TOC Executive Committee at the age of 21. 1988, working in Venda as district pastor. 1989 to 1992, working as TOC of SDA Executive Secretary at the age of 32. 1990, delegate to the Indianapolis Quinquennial General Conference of SDA. 1990, visiting the World Headquarters Office of the SDA Church in Washington, D.C. 1990, visiting the Bible lands, Israel and Cairo. 1990, delegate to the SDA Church General Conference Quinquennial Session in USA, Indianapolis. 1990, addressing the General Conference Session on Church Relations in South Africa. 1990, visiting Oakwood University in USA's Huntsville, Alabama. 1991, 7 days guest speaker at a 1,300 Youth Central Conference of SDA in Zimbabwe's Youth Convention. 1991, delegate to the SDA General Conference Autumn Session in Perth, Australia, where a resolution to unite the church across color division in South Africa was taken. Also, visiting churches in Hong Kong and in Singapore. 1993 to 1995, president of TOC of the SDA Church at the age of 36. 1993, attend through invitation of President Samuel Telemek the SDA Inner American Division's Evangelism Convention in Barbados, the Caribbean islands. 1995, delegate SDA General Conference Quinquennial Session in Holland, where ordination of women into leadership and deaconess office was taken. 1995, visiting Cairo and Israel and also visiting Germany and London. 1995, visiting SDA Avondale University College in the United Kingdom. 1995, studying theology through Greek University of Maryland, USA. 1996 to 1998, Golden West District Director. 1999 to 2001, TOC Departmental Director, Personal Ministries, Sabbath School and Education Departments. 2001, kept meeting guest speaker at a 7-day Solusi University of SDA institution. 2000, delegate at the SDA Church General Conference Quinquennial Session in Toronto, Canada. 2000, visiting the SDA Andrew University in Michigan, USA. 2000, visiting Cairo and Israel. 2002 to 2003, East Rand District. 2003, TOC Pastoral Visit to Turkey and Sing Places of 7 Churches of Revelation chapter 3. 2004 to 2010, Bembe District as District Pastor. 2005, visiting SDA Church General Conference Quinquennial Session in USA, Mississippi, Missouri. 2012 to 2013, Mopani District as a District Director. 2014 to 2015, Mpumalanga, Bushbuck Bridge, Mashishing. 2015, visiting Israel, Cairo, Italy, France, and USA. 2016, retirement after 33 years of unbreaking ministry. I thank the Lord for the calling into ministry, for the support I received from the Seventh-day Adventist Church around the world, and for the immeasurable support by my Princess Shepherdess wife and our children, and to whom we owe much adoration for their gallant and unwavering support throughout our entire ministry. With 4 published books that have been prescribed and read in secondaries and universities, I indeed devote my all to Jesus for his enabling power.
He actually changed the way young people looked at the ministry. He became a role model, a great motivator, and who actually motivated so many of us to go after ministry. He made ministry fashionable and gave it a character. From his preachings and from his singing music, he gained also international acclaim with his many other gifts, including literary ones and also publishing. I think one of the most foundational books that he published then for the benefit of the church was called Dengerere Lakanyo, Steps to Christ. But it is not a perfect translation of Steps to Christ. Dengerere Lakanyo, una dengerere, havana kanyo. Dengerere, the asigumba, gumba, it means nothing. Mara liba li dengerere lo nonga danga. Unetanda imwe yabayimera something very important. Aduba apo havana kanyo nga inapunga ngumkalo. A man of so many gifts. So this is not a posthumous presentation and recognition, but more than that, he also gave the conference presidency as well. He was the first president from the Ramgondro Church and from this part of the country, and also the executive secretary as well. He served in both those capacities. And many more others, which we may not be able to mention. So we really want to thank you so much. And this recognition comes in your lifetime. And we hope it renews you again and sets you up on fire to go down to Mamvuga Jazz again. May God bless you so much as you celebrate and as you recognize your contribution in the church.